Hi, welcome back. Today I'll be doing my top 10 of 2015. The first book is one I read back in January of 2015, so it's been quite some time, but it's definitely a book that's stuck with me, and that is Scarlett Thomas's The End of Mr. Y. This is a book about a young PhD student named Ariel Manto. She is studying the works of Thomas Loomis, a Victorian scientist who wrote a book entitled The End of Mr. Y that's referred to as a cursed book. Shortly after he wrote it, he disappeared, and anybody who's ever read it has disappeared, and it's extremely rare to find, but she happens to stumble across one in a used bookshop of all places. And she starts to read the cursed book, uncovers a strange alchemical recipe, mixes it up, tries it out, and ends up in a strange world known as the troposphere, which you begin to question once you're reading this, what's real and what's not. It almost has a matrixy kind of feel to it. There is lots of adventure through it. She's being pursued through the troposphere by agents that are trying to suppress the knowledge of this recipe. And it was just so exciting and so entertaining and so unique that it definitely stuck with me, and I really enjoyed that one. Friendship Echoes, The Girl from the Well. This is the first book in a duology about, it's like a YA series, about a vengeful spirit by the name of Okiku. She was murdered, shoved down a well or something. It has a ring-like feel to it. But it's told from her point of view, which I found extremely fascinating. In some cases, the first-person point of view almost turns like third person, like she's talking about herself in a third person sometimes. And I just found the writing extremely beautiful, in some cases poetic, even though the nature of the book is it is a horror book. As she seeks vengeance on other serial killers, her spirit has not rested, and she sort of helps release the spirits of other serial killer victims. I just found the writing beautiful, the story very intriguing, and the character extremely creepy of Okiku. And not to mention the cover of this book. I saw that and I just had to get it. Then I read Hollow City. This is the second book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series by Ransom Riggs. What can I say about it? It's the second book in the series. I don't want to go into too much detail, but if you're familiar with it, the Peculiar Children all have peculiar abilities, levitation to be able to disappear, or superb strength, and Miss Peregrine is sort of their leader. She can change into a peregrine, and at the end of the first book something happens to her, so throughout this book they are trying to save her life. They encounter a whole new group of peculiars, in this case animal format. There are evil beings sort of pursuing them in hopes to kill off these children, and they are super weird, and just such a unique series to come up with this concept and drawing it just from the various photographs he found, like, you know, in flea markets and garage sales. It was absolutely delightful. I can't wait to pick up the third book. Then I read the Amulet series, at least the first 6 books that are out by Katsue Kibuishi. This is book 1, The Stonekeeper, but I literally read the first 6 books in 2015, so they're all encompassed in here. We have Emily and her brother Navin. They move into their great-grandfather's house along with their mother after the tragic death of their father. And in the house she finds the strange amulet which she puts on. Shortly after, their mother is like grabbed by some weird tentacle-type creature from the basement, and they set off in pursuit. It ends up like passageways that lead to this strange world with weird characters, beautiful illustrations, captivating story. But there's like the tentacle creature there. I was just so drawn into it. I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm not sure how many books will end up being in the series, but really, really great middle grade graphic novel series. Then, speaking of series, one that I've been so invested in for quite some time is an adult urban fantasy, and is the Hollow series by Kim Harrison. This is the 13th and final book in the series, entitled The Witch with No Name. It's a book I kind of delayed reading because I didn't want the series to end, but it ended so well with this book. Rachel Morgan, our main character, starts out as a timid witch, white witch. She's born with a blood disease that makes her kind of weak, but by the time the series ends, she is far from the weak character she once was. We have her friend Ivy, who's a vampire, and Jenks, who's a pixie. But Jenks, Ivy, and Rachel Morgan run a bounty hunting service where they go after various other paranormals that are breaking the law. It could be other beings like themselves, or it could be werewolves, banshees. There are so many creatures within this series. One of my favorite characters was Al Jalirept, or Al for short. He's the demon who pursues Rachel in the hopes of dragging her into the ever after. He is such an amazing character, and he goes through quite a progression through the series as well. All the characters are so well developed. The story is so entertaining. And again, all the feels within this series made me laugh, made me cry, everything. Highly, highly recommend this one. Then I read the duology, Mary the Summoning. This is book 1 by Hilary Monahan. It deals with the urban legend Bloody Mary, and I think 4 actually, 4 girls decide to bring Mary out, you might say, thinking it's just a joke for fun. But one of the girls has ulterior motives, which you find out as you read the series. But it was so good. They start to see Mary everywhere. She's able to appear on any shiny surface or wet surface, and their lives are in severe danger. It just sent chills down my spine whenever she would appear. And this is just a super great hardcover, because underneath the various hardcovers, both of them, they have like a different image underneath. But yeah, I just flew through this series. It was so good. And the middle grade series, the one I just flew through as well. I literally marathoned it. I originally listened to them audio, but I do want to read the physical books because the physical books are just as beautiful. And then it's The Books of Elsewhere by Jacqueline West. This is book 1, The Shadows, the only one I currently own. The audiobooks were so well done and so well narrated, but the books themselves have beautiful illustrations, full-page illustrations throughout. It was just super entertaining about a young 11-year-old girl named Olive moves into a mansion with her, an old kind of deteriorating mansion, with her mathematician parents, and she finds a whole world kind of hiding inside the paintings that are there when she puts on these antique glasses she finds within the house. The paintings are created by this sort of madman who will pursue them throughout the series, along with his great-granddaughter. The world within the painting she kind of nicknames Elsewhere, and within there she finds people living there. There's a young boy named Morton she ends up trying to help. There are 3 cats that kind of come along with the house that they weren't aware of, and they can talk. At least they talk to Olive. No, the parents don't know about this, but they were so entertaining, especially Harvey, the one who kind of guards the upper floor, the attic area. He is hilarious. He made me laugh. This whole series brought through all the emotions too. One moment I'm laughing, then I'm crying, then the scary situations that she ends up facing were so creepy and terrifying as well. It sent chills down my spine. It has a little bit of everything for everybody. I think adults will enjoy it just as much as middle grade readers, and I definitely recommend you pick this one up, audio or physical. Then I read Bird Box. This is by Josh Mallerman. I did a review for this one as well. Again, I'll put links to any of the reviews I did for these books down below. It's an adult horror book, and it's set in 2 different times. We have our main character, Mallory, and I think as the story opens, she's with 2 young children in a cabin in the woods, and she has to leave. She has to seek safety, and the only place for safety is downstream. It's like 20 miles she's going to have to travel downriver, but blindfolded, because there is apparently something outdoors that is so horrific that anybody that sees whatever it is will go violently mad, and they may either kill others or kill themselves. And we find that out when it kind of jumps back in time to when she's with her sister at the beginning, she's pregnant, and they start hearing strange reports over the news of weird things going on. And that's when they come to realize they cannot set eyes on whatever this is outside. So can you imagine facing this horror, but you have to put something to cover up your eyes. It was chilling. It left a feeling throughout all this time since I read it, and I still remember how I felt as I was reading it. The writing is just so good. It's so unique, and really, really recommend this one. Then I finished the last book in a trilogy. It's a zombie fiction. Gotta have my zombies. Love them. This one is so well written too. This is Rachel Och's 3rd book in the Deadland saga. It is Deadland Rising. If you are fans of The Walking Dead, you know the reason you like that series isn't just the zombies or the horror or all that. It's the characters. And she portrays her characters so well. I became so attached to them. We have Cash, a young woman, office worker, who at the very beginning of the series, as the kind of zombie outbreak occurs, she runs out and to the parking lot and comes into contact with a man nicknamed Clutch, a former soldier. He's a truck driver, and together the two sort of travel this nightmare world. Cash is sort of Dante's figure, and Clutch originally starts out as like Virgil, her guide through this. He ends up helping her, learning how to use a weapon, how to fight, how to protect herself, how to feed herself, how to survive in this world. but his character will definitely change basically who he's representing from Dante's Divine Comedy by the end of this series. And this third book wraps everything up so well. The scenes with the zombies and the zombie hordes were great. I mean, the way she mirrored this to the Divine Comedy was just beautifully done. The first book represents Inferno with the various levels of hell, and then you have the second book which represents the various deadly sins, and this one is the virtues. Each chapter broken out, and how closely it mirrors the way the Divine Comedy is laid out in the cantos and all that stuff, and even to the last word of each book. Just fascinating, so well written. I highly recommend this one. You're going to get so attached to these characters. You're going to love it. And then the final book in my top 10 is another one that I love the way the book is put together. It's not a typical novel. It's, is it epistolary, where it's like made up of diary entries, letters, video transcripts, all of this. It's a YA horror book entitled The Dead House by Dawn Kurtagich. This is another book I did a full review on, which you can check out. I'll put links to it down below. But we have Carly and Caitlin Johnson, two souls. They share one body. Or is one of, is the person possessed? Are they mad? Are they imagining the other person? You don't know as you're reading the story. Some of the diary entries in here are written by Caitlin Johnson, a woman who's not even on record anywhere as having existed. Carly Johnson is seeking therapy, although occasionally Caitlin shows up. One appears during the day, one appears during the night. So the only way they can sometimes communicate with each other are through notes and things. But there's an evil presence too that is within this book that you're not sure if it's real or if it's imagined. You're just left wondering the whole way through. It was just so entertaining. I had read an advanced copy that didn't have all the bells and whistles that this one does, and I'm looking forward to rereading it. But just to give you an idea, if you just flip through the pages, the way it's put together in the format and all the little things included in there will just make it come alive even more. But highly recommend this one. This is so good, so creepy. Now for my that was my top 10. For my honorable mentions, I include Deck Z, The Titanic, Unthinkable Undead. This is by Chris Pauls and Matt Solomon. Kind of just a twist on the Titanic sinking, but in this case we have a kind of zombie type plague that's brought on board. And we have all our characters from history. You have the captain and everybody, the architects there, and yet you have this other side story with the plague, and it was just so well done, so entertaining. If you like Pride and Prejudice and zombies, pick this one up. And then my final honorable mention is Through the Woods. This is stories by Emily Carroll. It's a collection of 5 horror graphic stories, so it is fully illustrated throughout. They all kind of centered on the woods. It's very, very colorful. Beautiful made book too, the dust jacket. I think my original thoughts on this book were some of the stories troubled me because they were unfinished, but thinking back on it, I think that made them even more interesting or entertaining because it leaves it up to the reader to kind of conclude what you've read about. Yeah, some of them are just a bit gruesome in some cases. But anyway, that's my top 10 and plus 2 for 2015. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys have read any of these, if you would have included them in your top reads for whatever year you might have read them. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.